Most people believe that they need a budget to get their money right, and obviously they're not wrong. It can help them see where their money goes, it can keep them on track, and it can stop them from overspending. But what if I told you that budgeting isn't always the real problem? And the reason we can say this is because there are people who would budget every dollar down to the penny, yet they still struggle. So they'll write everything down, track all their spending, and follow all the money rules, but at the end of the month, they're still broke because the problem isn't the budget, it's everything else that they're not paying attention to. And oftentimes, they're relying too much on willpower. Some people assume that they just need to be more disciplined when it comes to money. So they tell themselves, I won't spend on unnecessary things this month, only to find their bank account drained by impulse purchases a few weeks later. And that's because willpower can be unreliable. So for some people, it isn't always enough. It can fluctuate based on stress, mood, and even the people you spend time with. And the more decisions that you force yourself to make in the moment, the more likely you are to make the wrong ones. So instead of always depending on self-control, you want to set up systems that will make good financial habits automatic. For example, instead of relying on manually transferring money into your savings and risk forgetting or simply not doing it, you might try automating transfers when you get paid or have a percentage of your check direct deposited into your savings. And the reason why this can work so well is because if you never see the money in your checking account, you're less likely to spend it. Then again, maybe you have a problem with online shopping. Instead of thinking that you're strong enough to just stop on your own, have you tried deleting shopping apps from your phone, blocking certain retailers, and unsubscribing from their emails? And another thing that you can do, which is so simple but a lot of people don't think about, is only using cash for discretionary spending. Studies show that some people tend to spend less when using cash instead of swiping a card, because when you physically hand over money, you can feel the loss more, which can make you think twice. And the key here is really to make those bad spending decisions inconvenient while making those good habits effortless. Because at the end of the day, willpower can be like a battery. So the more you use it, the more you can drain it. So instead of relying on it, create an environment where smart money decisions become automatic. Additionally, you're probably not holding yourself accountable, at least not as much as you could. Having a budget is one thing, but actually sticking to it is another. And the truth is, while many people will start off strong, they often lose traction after a few weeks because they have no one holding them accountable. And if no one knows about your goals, it's so easy to make excuses and then justify spending more than you planned. And one way to do this is by having a financial accountability partner. And this can be a friend, a spouse, another relative, or even an online community. Because the sad reality is that there might not be anyone in your inner circle who's capable of holding you accountable. And to be clear, the goal isn't to have someone control your money, but rather it's to have someone check in with you from time to time and help you stay on track. And it works because if you know that there's going to be someone there asking you about your progress, that might be enough to make you think twice about some of your decisions. And keep in mind too that you can also hold yourself accountable by tracking your spending in real time. So instead of waiting until the end of the month to review your budget, check your transactions on a daily basis. And there are plenty of ways to do this, such as reviewing your bank account each day or using a spending tracker, which I will link to below. And these are seriously worth considering because when you know how much money is going out each day, you're more likely to make adjustments before things get out of hand. And finally, you might also be looking for quick fixes. Some people think that their money problems will be solved instantly if they just have the right budgeting method or the right app. But while these things can help, they're not the ultimate solution because the truth is, financial stability is built over time through small, consistent changes and not overnight hacks. And one of the biggest traps that some people fall into is chasing easy money solutions, which are things that promise instant financial success but rarely deliver. And even when they do, some people who come into quick money suddenly, they end up broke a few years later because they never took the time to fix their underlying money habits. So while the most basic financial strategies might be boring to some people, these can also be the most effective, which is essentially increase your income, spend less than you earn, and don't get sucked into needless upgrades. Be mindful too that another common mistake is constantly switching between budgeting methods, thinking that one will magically make saving easier. The bottom line is that no budget will work if you don't stick with it long enough to see results. Results are not always instant, so 1 week, 2 weeks, or even 3 weeks might not be enough time. And if you're completely new to budgeting, meaning it's not second nature, you have to give yourself time to get into a routine. So it doesn't matter if you use a spreadsheet, an app, or a notebook. If you're not consistent, it's not going to work. And it's also important to stop only relying on motivation and start relying on discipline too. Because whereas motivation comes and goes, discipline can keep you going when things get tough. So if you're putting things off and you're waiting until you feel like saving money or until you feel like confronting your expenses, there is a chance that it might never happen. In the end, you have to make it a non-negotiable part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth or anything else that you do daily. So make an effort to set savings goals and then treat them like bills that you have to pay every day. Because financial success isn't about making huge changes all at once, it's about making better choices little by little every single day.